You want success? Then stop hitting snooze on your life. Success doesn't start when the sun is high, your inbox is full, and the world is already 5 steps ahead of you. It begins in the silence. Before the noise, before the chaos, before the distractions. It begins with you. And it begins every morning. The difference between people who talk about success and those who live it. A disciplined, intentional, non-negotiable morning routine. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And your habits are built at dawn. You want success? Then you have to start treating your mornings like the launch pad of your life, not the leftover minutes of someone else's schedule. Most people don't lose the day at 2 p.m. They lose it the moment they wake up, and they don't even realize it. The battle for your future isn't happening at that big meeting next week. It's not in the next job interview or investor call. It's happening right now, in the quiet, in the darkness, in that sacred space between your alarm going off and your decision to rise. That's the war. And if you don't show up with fire, discipline, and ownership, you've already surrendered. You cannot claim to want greatness while treating your mornings like a joke. You cannot demand more from life and offer it your laziness in return. Think about the first 10 minutes of your day. How you wake up is how you live. If your first instinct is to reach for your phone, check someone else's life, scroll through chaos, or bury yourself under the covers, you're not beginning your day, you're avoiding it. That moment, that fragile, unguarded space where you get to choose how to begin, that's your chance. But if you let your phone dictate your thoughts, if you let social media hijack your attention, then you're not living with intention, you're surviving on autopilot. And people who live on autopilot rarely fly. They stay grounded, trapped in the loop of sameness, wondering why nothing changes while repeating the same weak decisions every morning. There's something powerful, almost sacred, about being awake when the world is still asleep. That time is yours. No emails, no noise, no expectations, just you. That hour is where vision is sharpened, commitment is forged, and your highest self gets to breathe without interruption. When you rise with intention, you step into the role of a creator. You design your day before the world designs it for you. You tell your mind what matters, instead of reacting to what's urgent. Success doesn't come to those who hustle harder at noon. It comes to those who prepare for battle at dawn. It comes to those who understand that every morning is a new contract with their future, and every choice either strengthens or weakens that agreement. Discipline is not about suffering, it's about power. And the most powerful people on the planet are not those who sleep in and sprint through their mornings. They are those who command their time with clarity. When you get up early and move with purpose, your brain follows your lead. You program yourself to operate with conviction, to eliminate distractions, and to move with clarity. But when you start your day rushed, distracted, or unplanned, your brain becomes chaotic, reactive, and overwhelmed. You spend the whole day putting out fires instead of building empires. The truth is, how you treat your morning is how the world will treat your day. If you bring structure, the world responds with order. If you bring chaos, the world reflects confusion. Winners understand the compound power of consistency. They don't just win one morning and expect a lifetime of results. They show up every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because they know that habits are stronger than emotions and commitment is louder than excuses. They get out of bed not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary. They've wired their identity to the version of themselves who takes action, not the one who waits for motivation. That's the difference. Winners don't negotiate with the alarm clock. They don't lie in bed debating whether they feel like moving. They move. They rise. They show up because they are who they say they are. If you want to change your life, start by changing your morning. Don't chase some massive overhaul or wait for the perfect plan. Start small. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Protect that time like your life depends on it. Because it does. Use it to move your body, to prime your mind, to set your goals, to breathe, to listen, to lead. Because once you master your morning, you create a rhythm of dominance that flows into everything else. Your work, your relationships, your energy, your identity. And before long, the world starts responding differently. Not because it changed, but because you did. You stopped waiting to feel ready. You stopped living by default. You started acting like someone who was born to win. And it all began not with a big moment, not with applause or permission, but with one quiet, powerful, intentional morning. Clarity is not some magical gift granted to the lucky few. It's not reserved for the elite or the enlightened. Clarity is created, and it's created in the moments when most people are still asleep. When the world is silent and your thoughts are the loudest thing in the room. You don't stumble into a purposeful life. You build it one morning at a time. The truth is, most people walk through life in a fog. They chase distractions, drown in business, and call it ambition. But there's a huge difference between movement and direction. You can work 14 hours a day and still be lost. That's why the morning isn't just for getting up early. It's for getting clear. Without that clarity, all your effort is just noise. Your morning is the only time you truly own. It's before the emails, the meetings, the deadlines, the social pressures. It's the only part of the day not stolen by obligations, and that makes it sacred. In that window, you get to ask the questions that matter. What do I want? Why does it matter? Who am I becoming? These questions aren't for philosophers. They're for warriors. Because if you don't know what you're fighting for, you'll lose to anything that distracts you. That's what most people do. They confuse activity with alignment. But clarity isn't found in hustle. It's found in stillness, in intention, in choosing every day to return to your purpose before the world pulls you away from it. The greatest breakthroughs in life don't come from doing more. They come from understanding why you're doing it. That insight rarely happens in the middle of chaos. It happens in the calm. That's why your morning routine must include time for reflection. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. You need space to think, to journal, to breathe, to align. Because if you don't define your vision, someone else will define it for you. And that someone probably doesn't care about your growth, your peace, or your dreams. When you skip over reflection, you forfeit control of your life. You start reacting instead of creating. And once you're in reactive mode, you're no longer the author. You're just a character in someone else's story. Success is not about running faster. It's about running toward the right thing. And the right direction is only found when your mind is clear and your goals are sharp. When you start your day without clarity, you waste time, energy, and focus chasing the wrong priorities. You get caught in the trap of urgency, always busy, never fulfilled. But when you begin the day with clarity, you lead with strategy. You know what matters. You filter out the noise. You move with intention. Every action has purpose. Every yes is powerful. Every no is aligned. That's what separates high performers from everyone else. It's not that they do more. It's that they do what matters most. And they know what that is because they've taken the time to get clear. If you want clarity, you have to work for it. You have to make it part of your morning ritual. That might mean sitting in silence for 5 minutes. It might mean writing down your top 3 goals. It might mean reviewing your vision, your purpose, your plan. But whatever it looks like, it has to be consistent. You can't expect a clear life with a chaotic mind. And you can't expect a focused day when your first hour is scattered. You have to design your clarity, build it brick by brick, habit by habit. And it doesn't take hours, it takes intention. The kind of intention that says, I'm not starting my day until I know what I'm aiming for. That mindset alone changes everything. When you begin your morning by creating clarity, you walk into the world with power. You no longer chase approval, success, or recognition. You own your direction. You speak differently, move differently, make decisions from a place of strength, not stress. That kind of energy is rare, and people feel it. You become magnetic, not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. And in a world full of confusion, clarity is your advantage. The best part, it's already inside you. It just needs space to rise. So give it that space. Make it non-negotiable. Because when you choose clarity in the morning, you're not just organizing your thoughts, you're unlocking your next level. Your body is not just a vehicle, it's your power source. And if you don't charge it every morning, don't expect to run at full capacity. Most people underestimate the connection between movement and mindset. They think working out is just about losing weight or building muscle. But this isn't about aesthetics. This is about activating your life force. When you move your body first thing in the morning, you're not just waking up physically. You're waking up mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're sending a message to yourself that says, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm in control. That kind of momentum doesn't come from caffeine. It comes from action. Motion creates emotion, and the right motion creates unstoppable energy. There is a direct link between your physiology and your psychology. That's not theory, it's science. The way you breathe, the way you stand, the way you stretch or push or sweat has a direct impact on your focus, your confidence, your decisions. That's why high achievers don't skip movement in the morning. It's not just a part of their routine, it's a ritual for dominance. Because when your body is engaged, your mind sharpens, blood flows, oxygen increases, neural pathways fire up, and suddenly ideas become clearer, problems feel smaller, and the things that felt overwhelming an hour ago now look like stepping stones. Movement transforms stress into strength. And if you've ever felt stuck, lethargic, or clouded, chances are your body's been begging you to move. This isn't about running marathons or lifting heavy. This is about activation. It's about waking your system up and preparing it to perform. You can do 10 minutes of breath work, a short stretch, a brisk walk, a few bodyweight exercises. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be consistent. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're trying to unlock yourself. The purpose is to break the stagnation that sleep leaves behind, to create a surge of energy that carries into your work, your attitude, your relationships. When you move, you signal to the world, and more importantly, to your own subconscious, that you are not stuck, you are not static, you are in motion, and that means you're growing, evolving, winning. One of the most overlooked benefits of morning movement is emotional resilience. The world doesn't care about your mood. It responds to your energy. So if you start your day heavy, reactive, tired, you'll carry that weight into every interaction. But when you move, you release, you reset, you take ownership of your internal state. It's no longer about waiting for motivation to show up. You create it. The hardest part is starting. But once you begin, even if it's slow, even if it's small, you change your state. And once your state changes, your decisions change. And when your decisions change, so does your life. That's the domino effect. That's the silent power of moving your body before the world moves you. Most people let the external world dictate their internal world. They wait until stress piles up before doing anything about it. But the elite, they preempt the chaos. They move first, before the tension, before the demands, before the overwhelm. That's not luck. That's strategy. Because they know that when their body is strong, their mind follows. They build physical discipline not just for health, but for mindset. You think those 20 minutes of sweat don't matter? They do. They condition your nervous system to handle pressure. They train your mind to push when it wants to quit. They remind you that you are capable, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. So if you're serious about growth, about leadership, about living at your highest level, you can't ignore your body. You can't keep saying, "I don't have time," and expect energy, clarity, and confidence to show up out of nowhere. Your body is the foundation of your performance. And performance begins with preparation. Morning movement is that preparation. It's the quiet discipline that leads to loud results. The world will try to steal your focus, drain your energy, test your patience. But when you've already activated your power, when your blood is moving, your heart is strong, your breath is deep, you face it all with strength. And in that strength, you rise. Your mind is the control center of your entire life. And in the morning, it's at its most impressionable, wide open, sensitive, and hungry for input. That's why the first thing you consume every day is everything. It's not just what you feed your body that shapes you, it's what you feed your mind. If the first thing you pour in is noise, gossip, drama, fear, or comparison, then you're literally programming yourself to think small, feel anxious, and operate from lack. People wake up and scroll through chaos, thinking it's harmless. But it's not harmless. It's programming. Your brain doesn't forget what it absorbs. And when you begin your day by reacting to the world, you give away your power before your feet even touch the ground. You've got to protect the gates of your mind like your future depends on it. Because it does. The average person wakes up and dives headfirst into notifications, messages, and media. They flood their consciousness with everything but what actually matters. But the few who rise with purpose know this input equals output. If you let random distractions become your mental fuel, you'll operate with confusion and chaos. But if you curate what you take in, if you start your day with intentional input, you elevate your frequency, you sharpen your instincts, you fortify your identity. The way you feed your mind becomes the way you face your day. So ask yourself, are you feeding it with power or with poison? Think about it. Every piece of content you consume first thing in the morning becomes a lens through which you view the rest of your day. You scroll past bad news, and suddenly the world feels heavier. You see someone else's perfect life online, and suddenly yours feels inadequate. That's not inspiration. That's corrosion. You didn't wake up to chase someone else's highlight reel. You woke up to build your own masterpiece. But you cannot create if you start your day consuming things that drain you. You cannot lead with clarity if your first thoughts are shaped by fear, envy, or comparison. That's why your morning input isn't a small choice. It's a massive one. Because your life is the sum of your decisions, and your decisions come from the state of your mind. The elite don't leave their mental state to chance. They don't start their day in digital quicksand. They curate their mornings like a sacred ritual. They choose what they read, what they watch, what they listen to, because they understand one truth. The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life. You want to level up? Then start by choosing content that builds you. Read something that stretches your mind. Listen to something that lifts your spirit. Speak words that align with who you're becoming, not who you've been. Input is not passive, it's active. And the moment you take ownership of it, you stop being a victim of your environment and start being the architect of your mindset. This is why affirmations, gratitude, journaling, spiritual reading, or even a moment of silence can be life-altering practices in the morning. These aren't fluffy habits, they're power tools. They shape your internal world so that you can dominate your external one. Because if your mind is messy, your results will be too. But when your thoughts are clean, focused, and grounded in truth, you move through the world with direction. You don't get easily rattled because your foundation is strong. You don't need the world to calm down. You've already calmed yourself. And that's the edge. That's the unseen power of controlling your input. It gives you authority over your reality. If you want to build a life of power, peace, and purpose, then it starts with what you consume. Especially when you're most vulnerable. That first hour of the day is your training ground. It's where you prime your mind, build your beliefs, and solidify your vision. Treat it like gold. Guard it like it's sacred. Because the world will throw enough chaos at you as the day unfolds. But if you've already chosen your input, if you've already filled yourself with clarity, wisdom, and strength, nothing can shake you. You become rooted, unshakable. You lead your life from the inside out, and in that leadership, you rise. Excuses are the language of limitation, and rituals are the language of power. Most people wake up and immediately start negotiating with themselves. Negotiating whether to get out of bed, whether to work out, whether to meditate, whether to be disciplined. But success isn't born from negotiation. It's born from commitment. You can't build a strong life on weak decisions. You have to remove the debate from your morning. That's why rituals matter. They remove the question. They eliminate the mental tug of war. When something becomes a ritual, it becomes identity. And identity beats willpower every time. You don't ask if you feel like brushing your teeth. You just do it. That's the level your morning routine must reach. Automatic, non-negotiable, embedded deep into your sense of self. The problem is, we've been taught to chase motivation instead of building systems. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes like the weather. But rituals are structural. They hold you up even when you don't feel like it. That's what separates high performers from the rest. They don't rely on inspiration to act. They act no matter how they feel. And the act of doing creates its own inspiration. Most people wait to feel ready. But readiness is a trap. If you only move when it's convenient or comfortable, you will always be behind. The people who build extraordinary lives are not those who feel inspired every day. They're the ones who act inspired, especially on the days they don't want to. That's what a morning ritual teaches you, how to move with discipline when motivation disappears. Rituals create rhythm, and rhythm creates momentum. And momentum, that's everything. One disciplined action at 6 a.m. creates a ripple effect that shapes your decisions at 9 a.m., your performance at noon, your mindset at 3 p.m., and your energy by the time the day ends. Rituals aren't about perfection. They're about consistency. You don't need a 2-hour routine with fancy supplements and elaborate checklists. You need a simple, powerful sequence that puts your mind and body into motion. Maybe it's cold water on your face, 5 minutes of gratitude, a stretch, and writing your 3 priorities for the day. Maybe it's a brisk walk and some breath work. The what is less important than the S commitment. It's the S doing that matters. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust with the person in the mirror. And that trust becomes confidence. That confidence becomes momentum. And that momentum becomes your identity. Suddenly, you're not someone who's trying to become disciplined. You are disciplined. You're not trying to be consistent. You are consistent. That shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you stop treating your morning routine like a suggestion and start treating it like a personal contract. You don't show up for the result. You show up because it's who you are. And the more you do that, the less resistance you feel. It becomes effortless. Not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Built by you, owned by you, sustained by you. Look around. Everyone wants change, but few are willing to become the person who can sustain it. That's what rituals are really about. They're not just routines. They're transformations. You're not doing a few morning habits just to feel better. You're shaping a new version of yourself. One repetition at a time. One morning at a time. Every time you rise early and execute your ritual, you're casting a vote for the future you. And those votes add up. Most people don't realize they're voting against their own future every day. With their snooze button, their excuses, their comfort zones. But not you. You're building something. And that kind of consistency, that kind of inner contract, that's what builds confidence that can't be shaken. There will be days you don't want to do it. Days when you're tired. Days when life feels heavy. But those are the days that matter the most. That's when rituals reveal their true power. When it's dark and uncertain, and you show up anyway, that's when you remind yourself what you're made of. That's when you separate yourself from the average, the ordinary, the ones who quit. Because greatness isn't built in moments of convenience. It's forged in moments of resistance. That's what your morning ritual gives you: an anchor, a foundation, a force that carries you when nothing else can. And once you have that, you don't just chase success, you embody it. You weren't born to live on autopilot. You weren't placed on this earth to wake up tired, rush through a day full of obligations, collapse into bed, and repeat. There is a fire inside you, a purpose that's been calling your name since the beginning. But most people never answer that call because they never create space to hear it. The truth is, the world doesn't need more people who just exist. It needs people who are lead. People who rise in the morning with clarity, with focus, with intention. People who don't just go through the motions. They own every moment. And that kind of power doesn't come by accident. It comes from how you begin your day. Because how you start determines how you live. If your mornings are messy, distracted, and reactive, then your life will reflect that chaos. But if you start with intention, your whole identity shifts. When you wake up and decide to lead your morning, you're declaring to the universe that you're no longer willing to live life on default settings. You're choosing to operate at your highest frequency, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You begin your day not as a victim of circumstances, but as the architect of your destiny. That decision, made repeatedly, changes everything. It's not just about being more productive or checking more things off a to-do list. It's about becoming a person of impact, someone whose presence changes the energy in the room. And that kind of presence, it's not built at noon. It's forged at dawn, when no one's watching, when your discipline is louder than your doubts. When you stop letting the world dictate who you are and start showing up as who you were born to be. There's a version of you that the world hasn't met yet. A version that is bolder, more focused, more capable, more resilient. And the reason you haven't fully stepped into that identity isn't because you lack talent. It's because you haven't yet created the environment that allows that version to rise. That's what your morning routine is meant to do. It's not just a checklist of good habits. It's a ritual of becoming. Every single morning, you have a window to align with your highest self or drift back into the noise of who you used to be. That choice isn't made once a year. It's made every day. And when you begin to realize that your mornings are shaping your mindset, your character, and ultimately your life, you stop wasting them. You start to wake up with purpose. Not because someone told you to. Not because a motivational quote told you to grind. But because you know deep in your bones that every single morning is an invitation to rise into your greatness. You begin to crave the silence before the noise. You start to fall in love with the process. The early wake up, the stretch, the sweat, the stillness, the pages of the journal, the voice of your own soul coming through, before the world has a chance to interrupt. That space is where you remember what matters. That space is where you realize you're not here to just survive. You're here to lead. And that leadership starts long before you open your mouth. It starts the moment you decide to take your morning seriously. Because leadership is not a title. It's not a role. It's a decision you make when you realize you don't need permission to live fully. And you don't need to be in charge of a team, a company, or a brand to lead. You need to be in charge of yourself. You need to own your attitude, your energy, your discipline, your choices. That's the essence of personal leadership. And it's developed through daily practice, through showing up consistently, through honoring your commitments, even when no one's watching, through building habits that reflect the person you are becoming. When you commit to leading your life, instead of waiting for someone to lead it for you, you become unstoppable. You don't chase confidence. You create it, morning by morning, action by action. The world responds to those who are clear, consistent, and grounded. The world leans in when you walk in alignment with your values, your vision, your voice. But that alignment doesn't happen by chance. It happens by its design. And that design begins with your morning. You want to live on fire. Then start by lighting that fire first thing when you wake up. You want to walk into every room with unshakable confidence. Then earn that confidence through the daily act of discipline before the sun rises, because success doesn't show up randomly. It responds to preparation. The world is waiting for the strongest version of you. The one who doesn't flinch. The one who doesn't fold. The one who doesn't apologize for being powerful. That version is already inside you. It's just waiting for you to start treating your mornings like they matter. Because they do. They always have. So stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting for motivation, for clarity, for the stars to align. You are the one who creates alignment. You are the one who decides who shows up when the alarm goes off. The world isn't waiting on your excuses. It's waiting on yours as execution. And that execution starts every single morning. Not with noise, but with intention. Not with chaos, but with conviction. Wake up and lead your life before the world leads it for you. Because once you take full ownership of your mornings, you no longer chase success. You step into it. Relentlessly, unapologetically, powerfully.